Donald Trump is in the United Kingdom right now, and I want to give you some updates on that, including a little bit of a non-warm welcome that he got from some of the residents there. You're seeing it on screen. Let me play this reporting referencing what I'm talking about.
On that tower, we see that tower behind me there, Tom, currently white. Just a few moments ago, protesters, anti-Trump protesters from the hotel opposite, we think, managed to project some images on there. And what were they of? As you can probably see from some of these pictures, Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, that could not be a little more tricky and difficult just moments after Donald Trump...
So tricky and difficult. I don't know if it's tricky. If tricky's the right word.
Arrived here. So yeah, you couldn't really call it a security breach necessarily, but in terms of the diplomacy and laying on the charm, I'd say that was a bit of a massive failure. Let's just talk about tomorrow then, when they hope to...
So up on this castle tower, you have photos being projected onto it of Trump and Epstein, and then the note that Trump didn't write, and then photos, etc. That's actually a lot of effort. I get being like, oh, Trump's coming here, I don't like him, let me get a poster. Or I saw JD Vance, I'll show you this in a second, like bouncing. It was his meme face on a bouncy ball, and they're bouncing it around.
What the hell happened to JD?
Yeah, I mean, his head's bouncing around in a crowd surfing. But even that doesn't take as much work. Being able to figure out how to be in the right position to project onto the castle that image takes prep. You got to respect it. Even if you're MAGA, you don't like it, you got to respect it. And then there's a Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, who doesn't like Trump and had a really awkward exchange with Trump while he was arriving. One of his famous very long handshakes.
President off the plane, shook his hand, and then came the representative of the Prime Minister, who is Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary, and she shook his hand for a very long time. I counted about 8 seconds, a long handshake, and I couldn't help thinking that she was probably hoping that none of us were remembering what she has said about Donald Trump.
That's so uncomfortable. It's one thing to do it. I know we're getting rid of all gender, everything, like in terms of a norm. Like you wouldn't do this to a woman that you do to a guy. Like we're trying to mainly, but like maybe you get a door. You open the door. Is that so wrong? Can I be woke and open the door? Yes, I can. But similarly, I know a lot of those things I'm like, yes, treat everyone the same. One that's a little different, I think, is really long, firm, jerking handshakes. I get that you can do that with Macron, but please, with a lady, holding her hand that long, holding her hand hostage, seems extra creepy. Is that reasonable? I want equality except for on long, strange, aggressive handshakes. Especially Trump and his issues with, he has had problems in the consent world that I think should be, that we should think about when he's not letting someone's hand go. What? Is that crazy? Why am I crazy? Am I crazy? Then you have this reporting of Trump riding in a nice carriage.
In any event, the main objective is pageantry. Apparently the president told the pool press who were flying with him overnight yesterday, enjoy yourselves, okay? He said he was really, really, really looking forward to this. He said
I'm sure he is. He gets to cosplay as a king for a while. I saw Ron Filipkowski when they were doing these dramatic flyovers saying, I just want to warn the UK that with a ride in a gilded carriage, a castle, and a flyover with jets, the odds are increasing that Trump won't leave, but we're good with that. While I show you this next part that was so bizarre, Piers Morgan's take on Melania, I do want to request that if you appreciate this show, click the subscribe button. That would be fantastic. It's free. And then order yourself some Pep, my family business. My brothers and I created this to solve a problem in our life, which is we loved energy drinks, but they were terrible for you. So this is gut friendly, no artificial sweeteners. active probiotics, etc. Deliver it directly to your doorstep by going to that link, drinkpep.com. Here is Piers Morgan saying, I don't understand why people don't give Melania, well, before the clip, actually, I think he wrote in Fox News, or at least he was quoted, Melania doesn't get anywhere near enough credit for being a real fashion icon. All right, Piers, let's see.
Piers, talk about, for the women that are watching, we love to see what the First Lady will wear, what Camilla is going to wear. They're all in their hats. We saw Kate in her hat. And
if there's one thing that everyone is waiting, is my verdict on what they're all wearing. I've got to say, I mean, look, I do think the First Lady looks, as she always does, I have to say, utterly immaculate and radiant. I mean, I think Melania Trump doesn't get anywhere near enough credit for being a real fashion icon. To me, she's right up there with Jackie Kennedy, and in fact looks quite Jackie Kennedy-like today in that outfit.
So apparently I can't say that he shouldn't hold hostage the hand of a lady, but we can keep doing this weird thing where we're like, let me tell you about how pretty I think the First Lady is. I really liked her high heels, and I thought the skirt, it's like, what? We're still doing that? Like pageantry around. All right. I mean, obviously Melania Trump is beautiful and her outfits are expensive. That one, I can't even see her. Well, I'm supposed to be, I love how Piers amid all of this chaos in the world, he's like, why don't people give Melania more credit for being a fashion icon? What? Who's even thinking of that? And for podcast listeners, she's in just sort of an all black outfit, and her hat is covering almost all of her face. So cool, fashion icon. But see, in the interest of gender equality, I think we should do the same things with the dudes. I don't think Trump gets enough credit for how perfectly unfitting his suits are. They are always big and baggy, like someone wearing their daddy's clothes.
You're my daddy.
The king there, King Charles, his tie is not straight enough. See, we should review everybody. So strange. That's his passion. Then you have this photo of Trump and different folks. And I guess Melania maybe changed her hat because now it looks different. I can't tell. Fun. And if you zoom in on Trump's hand, he's really dolled up in makeup because of his bruising. So maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's a fashion choice that Piers thinks he doesn't get enough credit for. Here is JD Vance's face on a inflatable ball, bouncing around in a protest crowd, I think, and being kicked. Oh, ooh.
What the hell happened to JD?
His meme face. While this is going on, during Trump's trip, he's posting videos like this. You might remember there was controversy around the prosecutor, Fani Willis, who prosecuted Trump. One of the things was one of her fellow prosecutors she had a relationship with. I'm blanking on his name, but it's the person on screen. And Trump, the president of the United States, literally posted this video.
Did you go to a cabin with Miss Willis ever?
Ever?
Ever.
And I think this is going to be copyrighted, so I'm going to mute it. But podcast listeners, it's just a shot of the guy sitting in the testimony and like, what's the word? Like Fani Willis AI to be in bikinis and stuff? What? The president's posting this. Like sexualized image of Fani Willis, who he recently said should be in jail. Psychotic. Now, we started with Trump being confronted with his Epstein cover-up at the beginning of this segment. I do want to show you during a hearing on where this topic came up, Jared Moskowitz saying this.
The president you've seen the picture of the woman's body with the writing and the president's signature. The president says that's not his. Mm-hmm. Okay? President says it's not his. The Republican colleagues say it's not his. The administration say it's not his. Will you be opening up an investigation into the Epstein estate for putting out a fake document with the president's signature linking him to the world's largest pedophile ring? Will you be opening that investigation into that?
On what basis?
On what basis? They literally put out a fake document, according to the president, with a fake signature. It's a forgery of the president of the United States signature. That's the basis.
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, I look forward to that investigation. Oh, am I over? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your diligence.
Gentleman's time has expired.
So, of course, Jerry Moskowitz sort of sarcastically, but he got Kash Patel to agree to that specification, which is if you're arguing that that letter Trump sent to Epstein for his birthday is being faked, which would be a wild conspiracy given where it was and who knew about it, and for all of that to have been fabricated, then my goodness, that's crazy. Someone's forging the president's signature? And Kash Patel goes, yeah, sure, I'll investigate. Which, Kash Patel's on the case, so now we can get to the bottom of it. I just showed a photo podcast listeners. And then yesterday I showed you the clip of Republican Senator John Kennedy saying, who else was Epstein trafficking to? Who were the other perpetrators? And Kash Patel says, oh, nobody. There was nobody else, despite all the testimony of the survivors. Nobody else. Zippo. And John Kennedy went on CNN after that and got asked an interesting question.
Who else did he traffic these young girls to? Now, that's a very appropriate question. And the Justice Department, to which the president has kicked this issue, is going to have to answer that. It's just that simple. It's not going away.
Do you think that the president is potentially one of those people?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Are they trying to cover up for the president?
I asked Kash yesterday, point blank. I said, who else, if anyone, besides Epstein, were these young women trafficked to? And he said, nobody. It's not in our files. Now, and that's fine. I'm not saying he's lying. I don't know one way or the other. I'm just saying that after all the rhetoric, they're going to have to release the files and let people decide for themselves.
Yeah, I agree with him. I mean, kind of. I'm not saying he's lying. Well, I mean, he has to be, right? Otherwise, what are all of the testimonies about? And I already explained enough evidence for a criminal prosecution is one thing, but just the evidence in and of itself of testimony is some evidence. So it's a lie to say, but maybe he's thinking of, he meant something more than that. So we got John Kennedy on the case too.
You're Willie Nelson high.
And Ellie Honig, who's really centered in his analysis, even he was like, that's just bonkers.
Obviously, again, Trump hasn't been accused of wrongdoing, but we know that there are other men that the victims have accused. We know Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison for trafficking girls to Jeffrey Epstein and other individuals.
Yeah.
So what in the world is Kash Patel saying?
I couldn't begin to answer that. Does anybody believe this? Does anybody believe in a world where it was just Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein trafficking girls back and forth? And by the way, in addition to being illogical and implausible, there have been dozens of civil suits brought where victims have alleged that they were trafficked to and sexually abused by dozens of other men. So that is completely non-credible.
Yeah. So we can just not believe Kash on that. And then, I mean, this sounds like some people say stuff like this a lot that I don't love, and they say it in a weird way. But I think this time it actually applies. If they're lying, if Kash Patel is willing to lie about that, what else is he lying about?